Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today is the 1st of February and that means I am starting a new writing vlog. So this month I wanted to do something a little bit different. So basically I'm going to be working on a few things at the same time. Using this little notebook. What I'm going to be using this for is I want to write a little bit of flash fiction. It may not be flash fiction as per the official definition of the terms, but basically I want to do short little stories or bite-sized like scenes or little descriptions that take 1 or 2 paragraphs and that's it, and just practice my writing style in order to improve it. I really want to get better at my prose and make it sound a little bit more lyrical and just know how to do that basically, because although that's not a style that I particularly like reading and or writing, I don't think I'm good at it at all. So I think I should be able to do it in order to decide whether it's for me or not first. So I've decided on a few things in this. I'm in the middle of the busy season in my daytime job, so it's really hard for me to do a lot of things after work at the moment. So I think what I'm going to be doing is just setting myself one flash fiction per week at the moment. Next, I have decided on 6 different ideas for prompts because I didn't know how I wanted to decide on my prompts. My first idea is to pull a tarot card each time, and either the drawing on the tarot card or the meaning of the tarot card becomes my prompt. My second idea is to use Wordle. So some of you may be playing the game, some of you may not, but basically Wordle is a word game where you have to figure out a 5-letter word every single day, and you have 6 tries. So basically each day's solution to Wordle could be a potential prompt. And I could create a moment or description around the word itself. My third option is Humans of New York. So randomly pick a photo from Humans of New York Instagram by scrolling down it and just stopping at random. And then I can either use the person, like the photo of them, as inspiration, or the caption, because there's often a caption that goes with it, with a little bit of their story, or the top comment, because oftentimes people comment on similar stories and experiences. So this would become then my inspiration for my prompt. Fourth, I've got open a book at random, and the second line of the second paragraph, and even maybe the second word within the second line, can then become the prompt. Fifth, I have pick a scene from a TV show or a movie that I'm watching at the moment and describe it as if it was a scene from a book that I'm writing. So I think in that case, I would have to be like, okay, what's the last scene that I've watched recently? And it can be from anything that I've watched, except I think YouTube videos. And then finally, using this website called incorrectquotesgenerator.neocities.org. Basically, you say how many people are involved. There's 1, 2, 3 or whatever. You can name them, give them actual like names instead of just person A, person B, etc. And it gives you a dialogue prompt. So using this website, generate a quote for characters and include said quotes into my piece. So these are the prompt ideas. Next, as part of my prompts, I have 4 potential lengths for this flash fiction challenge. So the first would be between 200 and 300 words. The second would be between 300 and 500 words. The third, 500 to 750. And the fourth, 750 to 1,000 words. My last criteria or parameter, I guess, for the flash fictions is going to be the types of flash fiction that I could be doing. So the first is describe something or somewhere or someone. The second is use the 5 senses to describe an instant. So for instance, where I am right now, describe everything that includes my 5 senses. My surroundings and everything, like what do I see, what do I smell, etc. Or could do the same with a scene from a show or movie or something. The third is an emotional deep dive, so more of a character study. So using the emotions thesaurus, specifically explore a person's feelings about something. Fourth, I have an actual scene, so in one place and in one moment write one scene that like could include dialogue and stuff like that. It needs to be like almost like a scene from a full piece, if that makes sense. Fifth, I have POVs, so describe the same event or the same scene twice, so using 2 or more different characters' POVs, having like one POV, one character, and then going around and doing the exact same moment but from the other POV. And then finally, the sixth type of flash fiction I could be doing is a short story. So I think that one should probably be in the higher word count, but I said within 1,000 words, write a full short story with a beginning, a middle, and an end. Here is my first page, the word count. And then finally, the types of fiction. Okay, so I think what I want to do is basically, today is the 1st of Feb, I want to set up my first flash fiction for this week, and the way I'm going to be doing is using D&D dice. So they don't even need to be D&D dice, but I just happen to have 6 prompt ideas, 4 word counts, and 6 types of flash fiction, so I need to roll for all of those. So that means I need a D6, here we go, and a D4, here we go. So let's figure out what my prompt idea is going to come from, first of all. Rolling my dice. Let's roll my dice on here. And it's 1! Okay, so my prompt idea is going to come from the tarot card. This is the one that came here. I don't know if you can see it. How do beauty gurus do this? So this was the result, it's a 1, and that's the first prompt ID, which is pull a tarot card, and either the drawing or the meaning of it becomes the prompt. My word count is 3. So I just rolled my word count, it ended up being 3, and that is 500 to 750 words. And then finally, the type of flash fiction, 4. So 4 is an actual scene, so I need to do a scene in a place and a moment, including maybe dialogue and things like that. So now that I have figured out that my prompt will come from a tarot card, I need to actually pick one. This is my tarot deck, it's just a classic Smith-Waite tarot deck, is like the basic one. I have ordered a very nice looking one inspired by Maiga Vidal. If you don't know Maiga, go check her videos, I will link her down below. And she does a lot of Twitch streams with writing sprints because she's writing a musical at the moment, and she has a beautiful tarot deck that has some gold on it and is very Art Nouveau, and I loved it, so I bought it. It's just not arrived yet. Let's pick this one. It's the world in the right side up as well. So this is the card, so I could use either this drawing. Now what does the world mean? So the world tarot card meaning, upright, completion, integration, accomplishment, travel. The world description. The world card shows a naked woman wrapped in a purple cloth dancing inside a large laurel wreath. Wreath. She looks behind her to the past while her body moves forward to the future. In her hands are 2 wands. Oh, so no arrows, okay, or batons, like the one the magician holds. It is a symbol that what was manifested with the magician has now come to completion with the world. The wreath is circular, symbolizing a continual cycle of successful completion and new beginnings, because as the woman steps through the wreath, she's completing one phase, but beginning another one almost straight away. Around the wreath are 4 figures, a lion, bull, cherub, and eagle. Oh, so it's not a man, it's a cherub. He really looked like a man though. Similar to those in the Wheel of Fortune, both the world and the Wheel of Fortune speaks to the cyclical nature of your life and your progression through its cycles. The 4 figures represent the 4 fixed signs of the zodiac: Leo, Taurus, Aquarius, and Scorpio. They are symbolic of the 4 elements, the 4 suites of tarot, 4 compass points, 4 seasons, and the 4 corners of the universe. They are here to guide you from one phase to the next, bring balance and harmony to your journey. Interesting. Let's read a little bit of this description. When the world card appears in a tarot reading, you are glowing with a sense of wholeness, achievement, fulfillment, and completion. A long-term project, period of study, relationship, or career has come full circle, and you are now reveling in the sense of closure and accomplishment. This card could represent graduation, a marriage, the birth of a child, or achieving a long-held dream or aspiration. That's interesting. I could write a scene that is one of those events. It could be a graduation, a marriage, a birth of a child, or achieving a long-held dream or aspiration. You have finally accomplished your goal or purpose. Everything has come together and you are in the right place, doing the right thing, achieving what you have envisioned. You feel whole and complete. Okay, Now, the World card invites you to reflect on your journey, honor your achievements, and tune into your spiritual lessons. Celebrate your successes and bask in the joy of having brought your goals to fruition. All the triumphs and tribulations along your path have made you into the strong, wise, more experienced person you are now. Express gratitude for what you have created and harvested. Finally, make sure you don't rush into the next big project. Celebrating your journey will set you up for success when you're ready for your next challenge. If you have not quite reached this point of completion, then you are very close. You may still need an added level of understanding to graduate to a higher level and enjoy real success. Look back at your past experiences and acknowledge how far you have come and what you learned along the way. It may surprise you to look back at your progress and see how much you have achieved. This reflection may also be what you need to bring your project to its final stages. If loose ends still remain, the World card asks you to bring them to completion. In doing so, you will clear the space for new beginnings and opportunities to emerge. More literally, the World can mean world travel, particularly on a large scale. You may be lucky enough to embark on a 6-month overseas trip, or are working, studying, or living overseas for an extended period. This card reinforces universal understanding and global awareness, and you will find a new appreciation for people and cultures from across the world. This could also be the direction I take for this scene. Okay, I might not start writing tonight, so I haven't decided yet what I'm going to use as main inspiration for this, but I have a few potential ideas, so I'm just going to write this down in my little journal so that I know this is the prompt I've got, and when I get to it I can generally start thinking about it. Today is Saturday, the 5th of February, and we're currently, we've got my partner's parents' dog with us. Her name is Izzy, and she's adorable, and we took her for a big long walk this morning. Okay, so I've written a little bit of a brainstorm on this page. So, my prompt being the tarot card, the World, I was thinking, okay, so one of the meanings of this card is someone celebrating a promotion or graduation, an achievement of some sort. And actually I was reminded of an old project idea that I had a long time ago and that I never actually wrote. And I would love to explore it, maybe in this short story format, because then maybe I'll explore it in a longer story format. So this is about this character Rose, who gets promoted at work, and she works in a sort of big tower in a big city. In my head, I think I had either London or Paris. I don't really remember at the time where I wanted to locate it, but I think now that I live in London, and I always imagined Rose to be English, so I feel like it would definitely be in London. So maybe somewhere in Canary Wharf, there's like a certain tower, and she gets her promotion, which means she's gonna be promoted to go above a certain floor. Like all the people above floor 12 kind of work on secret stuff that no one else knows about. It's all the people that deal with the supernatural stuff and the supernatural creatures. So that's kind of what I had in mind, but Rose doesn't know. And I kind of pictured her as more of a low-key type of character who doesn't actually work as a lawyer. She's just in this big firm and is very impressed by everyone and would dream to be above the 12th floor at some point. But I saw her as like a PA or a receptionist. She doesn't actually work as a lawyer. She just works with them. And she is told that she's going to become a PA or a receptionist for someone above like the 12th floor. And she decides to celebrate the news with her friends at the pub, but she's kind of wary of it, and she feels like something's a little bit dodgy about this promotion. She doesn't really understand exactly where it's coming from, so she's feeling weird and suspicious about the offer and about the people from upstairs, but she doesn't really know why she's feeling that way or what it is. And her friends are trying to make her feel relaxed and let's celebrate with her and be like, come on, like you deserve it, it's amazing, so cool, blah blah. And one of the guys or one of the girls buys shots or something. So that's kind of what I was thinking, and it's kind of like an opening. I could see this as an opening scene for this story. And I just wanted to explore this because that's what this prompt made me think of. So that's where my mind went. So yeah, I think that's what I'm going to be writing. And also I have to write this between 500 and 750 words. So because this is a real scene that I have to write, I just wrote down kind of like the basics of a scene structure, which I never really look into craft books and things like that, so I never really know what exactly is the basic scene structure. I just write it as I think it should go. But a basic scene structure is actually you have the action and then the reaction, and the action is you have the goal, so the character is pursuing a goal, then you have the conflict, they face a conflict while trying to reach that goal, then you have the outcome, so either positive or negative, and then in the reaction, you have reaction, character reacts to the previous set outcome, the reflection, they reflect on their options going forward, and the decision, they make a decision, forming a new goal and beginning the cycle again. I don't know that I'm gonna go that far in 750 words. I kind of feel like it's mostly gonna be the action, but I'm gonna try. Hello again. So today is Sunday the 6th of February and I have been writing my piece. I've also been rereading it several times the same day, which was yesterday, so I don't actually know whether it is finished. I feel like maybe I could improve it still. But I'm keen to like get on to the next thing, and I feel like it's as good as it's gonna be for now, so I'm pretty happy with it. So I was trying to figure out what Rose's goal would be. I was thinking that her main goal is to celebrate her promotion, I guess, with her friends at the pub. So I was trying to decide on all of these different elements, and then when I actually wrote the scene, I didn't forget about them, but they kind of took a life of their own, I want to say. So they didn't remain exactly the same, but originally I was thinking, okay, so Rose's main goal is probably to celebrate her promotion with her friends at the pub. Then her conflict is that she can't help but feel like this promotion came out of nowhere. Because it happened after an incident with a client, and I had this idea in my head of why she's suspicious about it, so I kind of already knew. I thought it's because right before it happened, a client from above the 12th floor flirted with her in a little bit of an obvious way at the reception while he was leaving, and it was witnessed by one of the big shots from upstairs. And then the promotion happened, and so she's like, is this hush money, basically? Which I then decided within the piece to kind of leave as a she knows this, but the reader doesn't know this yet. Which made it much more interesting. And even though I feel like the conflict is still there, but it's just not written black on white, basically. So I wanted the outcome originally to be that her friends tell her, well, you're gonna need the money anyway because you want to leave your awful flatmate and you don't want to live in this flat anymore. And yeah, I was thinking like, oh yeah, she's probably sharing a flat share with this girl who leaves her passive-aggressive notes on the fridge and stuff like that, and she wants to leave. So she agrees that she generally needs the money and she's gonna have to say yes, and she's gonna have to roll with it. And then part two would be the reaction part. So in the reaction I had that she decides to maybe loosen up a bit and agree to the shots her friends want to buy, and that she's like, okay, I'm just gonna agree to at the very least celebrate, I guess. So I had all of these plans and I realized that I'm not an outliner. I ended up just letting myself loose. So it was great to have this vague idea in my head of where I wanted it to go, and I don't think I could have started writing it without that, so it was useful to me. But then afterwards, being able to let go of most of those points and just kind of write what I thought was what I wanted to write. So I'm just gonna read you the passage in question. It might still be slightly rough on the edges, but I have tried to work it in as good of a way as I possibly can. So I'm just gonna read this one quickly. Rose would have preferred for the drinks to remain just that, drinks between friends, without reason or agenda. It was Friday night in London after all, and half the pub's patrons had started downing pints as soon as the clocks had struck 5. But the moment Claire had heard about the news, she'd wanted to let the rest of the group know, and now all 3 girls were buying her drinks and calling it a celebration. Rose crossed her arms at the unwanted attention, wincing when Emma brought her back a glass of Prosecco. She loved her friends, but their spontaneity tended to make them oblivious to her embarrassment and reluctance.
Rose had never been one to rush into things, and sometimes she wondered how well she fit in with the girls, always so adventure-prone. "Look, I haven't even accepted the offer yet," she tried to protest. "What do you mean?" asked Claire accusingly. Rose blinked, her throat suddenly itching. She took a sip from the bubbly, just as Lynn came back with the rest of their drinks. "I ordered the cheese platter, I hope you girls don't mind," said Lynn, grabbing at the edge of the high-top table to sit on her stool without falling over in her 5-inch Louboutin heels. "You're gonna say yes, of course," said Claire, unfazed. "To the cheese platter?" tried Rose. She'd known Claire for half her life, 12 years to be exact, and she was used to her best friend calling her out on her bullshit. "Catch me up," waved Lynn. "Rose hasn't accepted her promotion offer yet," said Claire, narrowing her eyes at her friend. "So we're not celebrating anymore?" asked Emma, confused. She often was. "We are, because she's just temporarily lost her mind, right?" Rose sighed. "It just kind of came out of nowhere, you know? Like, how long have I been working there? 7 to 8 months tops?" "So what? They clearly recognize talent when they see it," shrugged Lynn. "My talent as a receptionist?" snorted Rose, one eyebrow raised. Lynn lived in a different universe sometimes, one filled with Burberry coats and Mulberry bags, and the girls often had to remind her what real life looked like. "Maybe you just impressed the right people," suggested Emma, just as the waiter arrived with the cheese platter. Lynn rubbed her hands together, distracted by the food, and everyone dove into the breadbasket. Rose's mind was still dwelling on Emma's comment, her chest tightening. She didn't think she'd impressed anyone at Lockhart and Beckett recently. Quite the opposite. "We should get shots," suggested Emma, "to celebrate your promotion. What do you say?" Lynn perked up at the mention of shots. "So what's the hold-up?" said Claire, back on track. "Don't you want to leave your horrible flatmate?" "I do," admitted Rose. She'd been stuck in this tiny shoe closet people dared call the bedroom for way too long now, and could have done without the passive-aggressive notes left on the fridge and the recurring emptying of her washing machine loads that she apparently left in too long for her flatmate's liking. The offer was good too. Her eyes had opened wide in shock at the number on the letter, a big jump from her starting salary as a receptionist, even in a prestigious law firm like Lockhart and Beckett. And still more tempting, the new job was on the 13th floor. No one had access to the upper floors, past the 12th one, without a special key. Curiosity had been eating at her ever since she'd started working there, and this was her one shot at satisfying it. The lifts on the reception floor only went up to floor 12, and to go up any higher, you had to swap to a different set of lifts, which only worked with a key, one with a small B etched on its bow, the famed logo of the firm. Rose wanted to say yes, badly, but the suspicion was still there, a parasite thought lurking in the back of her mind. The timing was off. Too late for the end of her 3-month probation, and too early for her 1-year salary review. So why now? Because it wasn't talent recognition. It was hush money. That's it. That's the whole piece. It is in total 710 words. I did use the emotion thesaurus in some places where I was like, how can I describe that she's feeling embarrassed about this or annoyed at this? So I kind of wanted to use this one a little bit, and I did, so I'm very happy with that. But I want to already roll for my next prompt. I don't know why, I'm just excited by the gamification of this, probably because of my anxiety. So let's roll. Let's roll for the next prompt. So as usual, I need a prompt idea first. It's 2. 2 is the Wordle of the day. Next, how long should my piece be? 2 is the answer as well. I'm rolling a lot of 2s, which is 300 to 500 words. And then finally, the type of flash fiction. 3, which is an emotional deep dive, so a character study using the emotions thesaurus, explore a person's feeling about something. So the prompt that I get, so from here it's going to be the Wordle, can either be the person or the something that they're feeling about. Okay, I'm going to need to do the Wordle first because I haven't done it today. Okay, so usually my first word is radio or names. I'm gonna go with radio. Oh, great. There's only one letter correct. It's I. Like maybe linen, but then I'm using 2 N's. I kind of want to know though. Okay, so there is an L. There's no E. Cool. And then not in the right spot still. Like maybe it starts with IL. Like, could it be tulip? No. Because the I isn't in the right spot. Like a chill. Again, I'm using twice the same letter, so it's probably not right. Okay, that was correct. Just not the first 2 letters. What else ends in ill? A quill? Fuck. Fuck's sake. I'm not gonna get the wordle of the day just on the one day I need it. I've gotten every single one of them. And just today on the one day I actually need it. It's not gonna work. Spill. It's a spill. I'm a fucking idiot. It's spill. No, it's not. It's kill. Oh my god. I'm so upset. I'm actually so upset. The one time... Okay, so the word in the wordle is kill. And I meant to do an emotional deep dive about skill. Great. So I could have a look at how I'm feeling right now. Frustration, maybe over a lack of a skill. And it's meant to be quite short, like 300 to 500 words. So let's have a little brainstorm.
Hello, it has been a very long time. Today is Tuesday the 15th of March, but basically I spent a little while kind of recovering from work burnout. So my work is very seasonal. I don't know if I've explained this before, but we just came out of the busy season from my work, and it tends to make us work late and hard, and we just come out of it feeling like absolute trash. At least I did, and this year was kind of one of the worst that we've had in a very long time. I personally needed at least a couple of weeks to recuperate from that and just repair my mental health, basically. So since that happened, I also then caught COVID, so that was last week, and I took another week of being ill and just not being able to do anything because I was just like, I'm tired, like I'm just physically tired, and it's making me mentally tired. Now that that's all over, I feel a bit better. I don't have COVID anymore. I feel like I'm ready to take on new challenges, and I wanted to update you guys. I haven't done anything since the last time that I was setting up myself this little challenge to write a little bit more little pieces here and there. So I'm gonna try and do that this week. Next time I speak to you guys, I will try and have finished that flash fiction exercise that I was doing. So that's the plan, and that's the latest of my writing news for now.
Hello again. So today is Thursday, the 17th of March, and I've made some progress. And I took some notes of what I wanted to do for the second challenge that I was meant to do back on the 6th of February. Oh my god. So I drew the prompt for this over a month ago now, like on the 6th of February, and I have finally done it last night, so on the 16th of March. That is crazy. But yeah, so I had a little bit of a brainstorming session at some point and was thinking about the type of emotions I wanted to convey with the word skill, which was my prompt. And then as part of my prompt, this was meant to be an emotional deep dive. And I ended up thinking of one of my characters as well, Margot, who is a witch, and she is part of a family of witches and in a coven of other witches, but she was adopted by her aunt, and she's been living with them when she was young. And basically, she failed as a witch, as in she doesn't seem to have any powers as a witch. And that is meant to be in her past, not in the book that I wanted to write with her as a main character. So it was meant to be kind of like more of a background story. But because I have not touched that project in a little while, and I was suddenly inspired to just by thinking about that, I was like, perfect, I can write about her frustration at her lack of skills. I looked up some of the words for the emotions that I wanted to convey into my trusty emotions thesaurus, and I ended up going with discouraged, frustration, self-loathing, and worthlessness, and just picked in there the examples that I liked the most and that I thought would be the most useful for my piece. And I kind of tried to put all of these into my piece, and then afterwards I kind of wrote some quick sentences that I thought of on the go before typing this piece. So I had things like, I wanted to start with the sentence, she'd failed. So I did use that, and then I had things about the look on Aunt Maddie's face had made her bow her head in shame, things like that I wanted to integrate into my piece. So I wrote them on this side. Don't pay attention to this, that's another project. So let me read you this piece that I wrote for this. She'd failed. There was no way around it, no softening of the blow. Margot's throat closed up as she relived the last test, the humiliating memory scorching her cheeks. Her eyes stung, but she refused to let herself cry. She'd failed every single test. Not just a low score, like Jane Bellum, or a poor performance at one of the tasks before shining at another, like Valérie Rochelle. She'd simply, inevitably failed. I'm not a witch, she whispered to herself in the darkness of the attic. Her room would be the first place they'd look for her, and she liked to hide up here when things were bad, which was often. Her mind flashed back to Aunt Maddie's disappointed scowl. The woman had raised her, made her a part of this coven, provided her with magical lessons and training, and Margot had failed her. Shame overwhelmed her, and she started trudging in circles in the attic, shoving her hands into her armpits. Her head hung low. When Tash had tripped her on the way to the parking lot after the ceremony, a prank that the teenage witch had practiced a lot over the summer, Margot hadn't even retaliated. I deserve this, she told herself. I'm not even a bad witch like Ev thinks. I'm nothing at all. But if that were true, where did that leave her? She'd been taken in like a stray, already a burden to her aunt, and the topic of many hushed conversations at the monthly coven councils she sneaked into when Ev went to sleep. The grave girl, they called her, as if her last name was an insult. So what if her ancestor hadn't been as famous a witch as the de Benvilles? All it meant was that Aunt Maddie and her daughter, Evangeline, had more power than the average witch, more power than Margot. But it shouldn't have meant that Margot was powerless. Yet here she was. And that's it. So yeah, that was my little exercise for this. And I'm quite excited because it made me want to write more with this character, and this is meant to be in her backstory as well, so it's not even a passage that I would actually use in the story that I want to write about this character. It's more meant to be her when she was a teenager and what led to her being like she is now, because in the story I want it to be an adult novel and I want her to be a full-fledged adult, whatever that means. So yeah, that was kind of what I wrote for this. I think what I'm going to be doing is maybe do one more of these for the month of March, next week or something like that, and just overall I think I'm just going to do this vlog into February and March together, because that's just what happened. I didn't do much throughout a whole month, so it makes the most sense to do it like that. Again, I'm going to use my dice, so I'm going to move the camera so you guys can see. For my prompt ideas, I have 6 of them, so I just need a d6. Let's roll this baby. And it's a 5. Okay, so 5 is pick a scene from a TV show or movie that I'm watching and describe it as if it was a scene from a book that I'm writing. I'm currently watching loads of NCIS episodes, so this is going to be interesting. Next I have the word counts. So the word counts, I have 4 of them, so I'm going to use my d4. Okay. And it's 2. This is what we got. We've got 2. And that means 300 to 500 words. And then finally, the type of flash fiction. I have 6 options. So... and it's 2. This is what we got. It's 2, which is an emotional deep... And it's 2, which is use the 5 senses to describe an instant. For instance, where I am right now, I would describe my surroundings, say what I can smell, what I can see, what I can hear, etc. This works quite well, I think. Which means my prompt is going to be a scene from a TV show or movie that I'm currently watching, between 300 and 500 words, and using the 5 senses to describe what's going on. Okay, cool.
Remind me not to waste my leave. There's nothing out here. I thought you were ready about city life.
today is Wednesday 30th of March and I'm gonna film the conclusion finally to this writing vlog today. So basically I ended up finishing my third flash fiction, which I titled The Sniper, and I'm just gonna read it to you guys, but I had this idea based off this TV show scene that I was watching. That was my prompt. My prompt was to use whatever scene I last saw basically from a TV show or movie, and I've been binge watching episodes of NCIS, so this is from an episode of NCIS. And basically in the scene we have a sniper who shoots two people, and it's kind of the opening scene to an episode of NCIS, and I was debating which point of view to utilize for it. But because it was meant to be using the 5 senses and quite a short piece, so between 300 and 500 words, I decided that from the POV of the sniper would be the most interesting. And I'm going to show you now the kind of little prep work that I did before writing it, and then me actually live writing it. Obviously I sped this up because I didn't want you to have to suffer through me trying to think about a word for 10 minutes, or taking a break and forgetting what I was doing, or writing this during one of someone's writing sprints and then going back to them talking. So I kind of will speed through me writing this, but it's pretty much me writing it live and changing my mind about certain words and trying to figure out how to express something specific. But I hope it gives you a better idea of how I work on pieces like this one. Here is the piece. I'm just going to read it out loud for you pretty quickly because you'll already have seen me do it. I've been waiting for this moment all day. The instant the Jeep gets in my line of sight, my entire body tenses and my senses come to life. I hear it before I can spot it, the faint sound of its tires on the rough sand of the desert, the motor almost as loud as the wind, a constant I have become used to. I squint in order to see it moving on the horizon, at first just a dot, growing bigger and bigger as it comes to me. The heat of the day shimmers right above the arid and desolate land. There it is, my target. I lick my lips, and my tongue is made of sandpaper. I taste the grains of sand the wind has picked up, gritty and granular, as well as sweat, salty, that has pearled down from my temple. After all this time, I've become accustomed to its smell, mixed in with my aftershave from the morning. The Jeep gets closer, and my heartbeat accelerates, echoing in my head like a drum. Blood rushes to my ears. All I need is a few calming breaths, slow and steady, and I manage to trick my body back into stillness. I adjust my grip on my rifle, rough calluses against metal. They're getting closer. My elbow seems to dig just a bit deeper into the sand, and I can't tell anymore when I last felt pain in the muscles of my legs. They've got numb from the weight. But this is what I was made for. Patience, stubbornness, precision. The Jeep is almost perfectly aligned with my rifle now, and my sharp eyes zero in on the driver. My first target is sitting right behind him, and I know I can get both men in one shot. There's no telling what the woman will do though, but I'll be ready. Breathe in, prepare the shot, breathe out. Bang. And that's it. I hope that you enjoyed this piece. I enjoyed writing it. It was a little bit different from my other two, which were definitely from the POV of some of my main characters in the end. It wasn't planned that way, but that's what I ended up doing. So I feel like this was the outlier, and it was nice to have one and to kind of try and develop a sense of being in that person's head. compared to what was so much easier, which was to be in the head of people I already knew technically, because they are characters that I have already created. But today is the 30th of March, there's only one day left in the month, and I don't think I'm going to be doing much more writing for this vlog, so I'm probably going to conclude it here. So I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like, leave a comment. I always try to respond. Consider subscribing, ring that bell, all that jazz, and I will see you guys in the next one.